always been extremely devoted to what I do.
Every once in a while, when somebody pops up with that gift, you just grab it.
Nobody has had more new works made upon them.
Where's your camera? Right here.
She's already the finest instrument, and so we had to start learning how to play that instrument.
Ballet can be tough on the body. And to be a ballet dancer at 47, I do feel the ticking clock. I was having a phase where they were sort of taking me out of things without talking with me about it. After my class, I literally could not walk. Surgery could really help my issues.
Ballerinas are probably God's best athletes.
It's pretty hard to think that you're not gonna put point shoes on someday, you know. I had a meeting with Peter Martins, and he said, I just don't want people to see you in decline. Part of me is embarrassed, because it's like, you know, you're 46 years old, and you still dreaming like you're a teenage kid. You know what? I don't want to plie on that.
Because it hurts or just because it's...
Well, it did the first time. People are now calling me the former ballerina of New York City Ballet. A lot of people think I retired already.
You made this place so great, and I love you.
There's nothing like those relationships. I know it's unrealistic to think that I can dance ballet forever, but it tears at my heart. Knowing how much I can work in the future is a question left to be answered.
Hi, and welcome. I guess my first question for the three of you is how did this start? How did the idea for the documentary come about?
I'll take that one. So my daughter was a dancer at the School of American Ballet, and our executive producer, Diana DeMena, his daughter was also there. And Diana said, Diana and I became friends, and she knew that we were filmmakers. And she said, I'm very close with Wendy, and you guys should meet her and get to know her, because it's an interesting time in her life. And you might want to consider, you know, let's consider maybe documenting the time.
Wait. And then?
So, well, what happened was, so Diana told me about Wendy, and then I called Linda, and who is
Well, he said there's a ballerina, and I went, Wendy Whelan? And he said, yes, how did you know? I'm like, whatever you do, whatever, get it, we have to do this, we have to do this. My first experience at City Ballet was a date. My husband was a big ballet fan, took me on a date to City Ballet, and my first experience there was seeing Wendy perform. And I've never seen anything like it. She was just, it was magic.
So we met with Wendy, and she was telling us about a project that she was, you know, working on called Restless Creature, and that she was considering going into contemporary dance. And we just felt it was a really interesting moment in an artist's life. It's sort of a pivotal time in her life that, you know, possibly coming to the end of one moment in time and looking to the future. And we felt as an artist to be able to explore that with her would be very interesting. So that's really how the project started.
Wendy, how did you feel when they approached you?
I did not want to do this film. I was terrified at the time. My body was going through all kinds of crazy pains, and I didn't know if I was going to be leaving the ballet world. I really didn't know what I was going to be doing, and I was petrified to put that on film, because I didn't want to, you know, ballet dancers, we don't want to ever show ourselves less than the best we can be. So, and this was full of that. So my life was full of everything falling apart. So I was like, you sure you want this? And they were like, yeah, we really do want this. So once we started to work together a little bit, we spent some time in the studio, and I saw some footage, and I started really trusting them, and I thought, all right, this is an interesting time, and I don't ever see anybody talk about this, because it is so sort of scary. So I thought I'll be brave and go for it, and I'm really proud with what they got. So.
And also, what was nice about it was it wasn't the beginning of a career, and it wasn't a look back. It was this specific moment in time when a lot was happening, and to be able to capture that in real time, we thought was very exciting.
Did you have any kind of plan going in? I always wonder with documentaries, especially when they're happening in real time, what all to capture, when to wrap it up, and where to begin?
It's really, usually our films that we work on together, it starts with the character. When you have a great character with an amazing voice and can really articulate really basic human conditions that we all go through, you have something special, and you have someone special that it goes above their craft and their art. And so we knew we really were just kind of thinking about a transition in her life. And then we found out about the injury while we were filming her. She told us about needing surgery, and then it went on from there. And
Yeah,
you weren't ready to retire either, so we didn't even know.
No, yeah.
It could have been.
I didn't know what was going to happen in the film, so.
Yeah, I would say that also, like for us, like Linda said, it's great, your subject takes you into a world, and that's very important for us as filmmakers. But we also knew that you were exploring Restless Creature, this contemporary dance, and that was new for her. And that was exciting also because there was that unknown. How is this going to work out? Is this going to work out? And so for us, we thought, okay, well, let's follow that process. But it's loosely thought out because you never know what direction these things are going to go in. For the most part, and in this case, we definitely didn't know. And so, a lot happens in a person's life in a year and a half of filming.
Having an injury and also making that decision to retire from ballet is probably the most vulnerable time for any ballet dancer. And what was that like for you to have cameras following you constantly for 16 months? I believe.
Yeah, 16 months. Well, I didn't want to fail, and it was hard because I kept pushing myself to succeed, but my body was saying, no, you're not ready. So I had to just really listen to the body and listen to what everything around me was, how it was unfolding, and let it happen. So it was stressful at times to have the camera around and be really facing these challenges in front of an audience.
Ever times where you kind of forgot that the cameras were there, or were you?
Sometimes I forgot. Sometimes I was like, get away.
and our goal was to make her forget. I mean, that was really, we wanted to try to be a fly on the wall as much as possible and have her. And
they made me extremely comfortable, which was everything. So.
Had either of you delved into the world of professional ballet this deeply before? Did you have preconceived ideas? You were already a little bit you had children that were involved in dance, but what did you discover about this world of professional ballet?
Well, for me being falling in love with ballet and being a spectator, the one I have to say, when I would watch Wendy dance, there was more to her than just dance. I would sit there in the audience wondering, what's going on inside her? What is she thinking? How is she, she is among the greatest dancers, ballet dancers in the world. And yet she's bringing so much more. And so there was a part of just wanting to get into that world and finding out. And I think that Wendy is not just an amazing ballet dancer. She is very articulate and very philosophical, and could actually. I don't know. This must have happened when you were dancing too. I don't know. It's like
I'm mature, so I've had a lot of experience, and I've been able to translate it and express it, and they gave me the opportunity to do that with the film. So I enjoyed being able to really be honest and try to be really clear and explain, what it's like, what it feels like to be going through a career and then to be having to let go of something you spent your whole life striving to do and doing. And then all of a sudden, it says, you've done it now. now it's over. So it's really interesting to try to express that.
And also to go behind the scenes, to see the world behind the curtain was really fascinating for us, and to understand that the commitment and sacrifice that's made in the dance world was something I didn't know, and that was fascinating for us to see that, and to be able to follow Wendy and understand just the intensity of it, of course, and you know, for ballet dancers, I mean, it's about perfection, right, and conveying perfection on stage. Well, a lot of work goes into that to get to that point, and for us, that was really, really interesting, and that was something we definitely wanted to explore as filmmakers.
Wendy, there's a really poignant point in the movie where you mention a meeting you had at New York City Ballet where they sort of suggest that maybe you should stop dancing Nutcracker because they don't want to see you in decline. Can you talk about, and then you had a very almost psychosomatic physical reaction to that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm still fascinated with, did the meeting provoke the pain, or was the pain on the verge of coming anyway? So the psychosomatic quality of the experience is a mystery to me still, and I just think I'm fascinated by it. I went into a meeting. I wasn't expecting to be told, maybe I should stop doing this certain role. So it was a shock, and it affected me physically. And within a month, 2 months, I was in pain, and that pain lasted 4 years, and required me to stop ballet dancing, pretty much. So, yeah, it was interesting. Was it going to happen anyway? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or did this provoke that? I don't know. So, but whatever it was meant to be, and it's all okay. So, yeah.
And you've since had that hip replaced, right?
I have, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And now I have no pain, so yeah.
That's great. So what is life like for you now that you're out of the ballet world and you're exploring contemporary dance? Is there anything you miss about ballet, your old life?
Yeah, I'm in and out of it. So I still take a ballet class every day. I don't perform ballet as ballet. I work with contemporary choreographers. I teach ballet, but I practice more contemporary work, which is different for my body, and it's a new pleasure, and my body's hungry for that. So I give that to myself, but I also give back my ballet experience to others. So I just staged a ballet for the first time in Seattle. So that was a whole other mental experience of getting into a ballet, but yet not having to do it, and sharing it with dancers that do it. So, yeah, yeah.
I know that the dance world has been looking forward to this film for a very long time. They can't wait. But what can mainstream audiences get from Wendy's story? Beyond dance lovers, I feel like there's something very human about the documentary that anyone could relate to.
Yeah, no, this is a great question. It's funny because when we first screened the film at the New York Film Festival, some of my guy friends came, because they're my friends, and they came for that reason. But they came away from the film, whether they were maybe sports fans or just getting an understanding of the idea of drive and determination to succeed at something, and also the idea of having to give something up that you've done your entire life and sacrifice for, and how to deal with that, and those challenges, and overcoming those challenges. I mean, we used to joke, because Derek Jeter was going through sort of
Retired
the
at the
same
same
thing
time.
at the same time, so I used to say that Derek Jeter was the Wendy Whelan of baseball. And it was really, so I think for people, what we found is that people who are not necessarily ballet fans, now actually having seen the film, they say, oh, I really do want to go see a ballet now, because they do see the drive and determination and the athleticism of you guys. So that's very exciting for us.
And also with when we were screening the film during its different stages to get feedback to make sure we're on the right track, And actually at the New York Film Festival, when it played, we had a teacher come up to us who was having problems with her throats, and she said, I can relate to Wendy so much. It's like, I don't know what, she loves teaching. I don't know what I will be able to do if I can't teach anymore. And she said, but seeing her be able to go through what she's going through, I can also keep going. And we had a student who was graduating from NYU. She's like, I'm going through the same thing. What is going to happen to me after I graduate? You know, this protection of my university. You know, is this it? Is this the end of my line? And a surgeon, too, who was retiring. Same thing. He was saying, this is me. This is what I'm going through. And so it's interesting how it's on a very human level.
Anytime you put your identity into something, a career or a vocation, it grabs a hold of you. And when you have to let that go, your identity is questioned. And yeah, so and this is a film about a dancer who can't dance. So it's a very human story that I think everybody can relate to. And because
But you're also very relatable. So that's
Thanks.
the other thing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really important. Also, that a lot of people have this perception of the prima ballerina as a certain way. And you're not that.
I'm not.
Your sister is a homicide detective. Your mom is a basketball coach in Louisville, Kentucky. And I think that's something that, you know, thank you. You convey that to the audience, that they can relate to you, and that helps tremendously.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's true.
Wendy, what was it like to watch yourself? What was it like to watch your life when the movie came out?
I was like, oh, I remember that. Oh, yeah, I remember that too. It was a little like The Wizard of Oz, but a little bit different. I loved the surgery scene because it's the only part I didn't remember. So that's my favorite part. They know that. So it felt like a long time ago. I felt the transition and the transformation had actually really worked, and it had actually happened, and that I was somewhere that I was safe again, emotionally. So I was pleased, but I was also felt sad for myself a lot. So I was like, oh gosh, you didn't know that then. So yeah, it was interesting felt like a long time ago.
Hindsight, looking back, I'm sure it would be very eye-opening. Was there any moment in the film that was really hard for you to watch?
Not really. It was all real, and it was all true, and it was all, yeah, it was the real thing. So yeah, it's okay.
It was hard. When you first saw it, the first time you saw it on the big screen, I remember that.
You know, it's always hard to look at yourself.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I had to look at myself for an hour and a half straight. So, but it's okay. I let it go, and it's who I am. And
that was probably the most nerve-wracking part of the experience. Was,
Right.
Like it.
How much input did you have in terms of, you know,
not really much.
how the film came out?
Not much. Not anything really. Yeah.
the only thing, I mean, we would ask you, right, as far as storytelling, not at all, but
Yeah.
then we wanted to pick and choose certain dance moments that we felt best conveyed
The piece itself,
pieces themselves.
yeah. They had limited time to show a dance piece, and I helped them find the iconic moments within a dance so that it could get a much more powerful moment in. So yeah,
So that was kind of cool, having
that
an
was fun.
expert.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you don't want that part, you want this part.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One of the coolest parts of the film is to see you, you're in the middle of all this pain, and to see you kind of turn it around into this new chapter of your life, working on your show, Restless Creature. Can you talk a little bit about that process and transition?
Yeah, instinctively, you know, when I was feeling the end and feeling really, really, really terrified and scared and sad, something in me realized that I should make this a transformative, creative project for myself. And when I started to do that, everything started to change. And so I thought, well, what can I do with what I have differently? And so I went towards making this project for contemporary choreographers and myself to dance together. And the positivity of that and the optimism of that and the seeing the future a little bit was incredibly helpful and really guided me positively forward.
Has it been hard to basically learn how to move in different ways after being a ballet dancer for so long?
Yes, but that's what I wanted. So I mean, my body wants it, and I want it, and so yeah, I just had to sort of change my old patterns, change my old habits, which are very settled in, because it's 30 years as a ballerina is a long time. So I had to undo a lot of things and relearn how to change my behavior. Yeah.
What was it like for you guys to edit this movie with 16 months worth of footage and to weave it into a cohesive story in an hour and a half?
Yeah, it took time. It was a little more than a year to edit, just to screen the material and select with our editor. We had a brilliant editor, Bob Eisenhart. And you just start you screening together, pulling selects, and figuring out how do you tell this woman's story in an hour and a half and try to make it seamless and try to, and incorporate all these events that happened to her life. It was challenging. We had some major hiccups where we were like, 3 endings. How do we, is it a comeback story? Is it is it a moving forward story? Is it a...
Right, like we didn't want it to be a biopic. We didn't want to, go into the history of ballets and dances and Wendy's history, but we still, of course, wanted to convey how significant she is in the world, balanced with, of course, this verite or following of Wendy through real time as these things are unfolding, along with the fact that she was doing Restless Creature and she was dealing with retirement and a recovery from an injury. So there was a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. So that process was a lot of storyboarding, putting up cards, moving them around. Will this work here? When are we going to tell the history, Wendy's history? So it was a lot of fun to do, but it was definitely very challenging, and at times you want to rip your hair out of your head because you're like, if we only had her saying something here, but she wasn't saying it there, so it was,
And figuring out that story, because it's written in the edit room while you're editing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that happened to us, our editor had to leave for about a month to finish another project. So having that time to just stop editing, we were doing another project, just a quick little turnaround, and then going back to watch it again, we could really see like, okay, wait, we got it. This has to be fixed here. This is not, and so that was almost like a blessing. First we were a little upset. What do you mean you have another job? But then it
right, because for us, we were there through it all, and so even the things that aren't in the film, we're aware of, and so we had to be careful and make sure that while we understood what was going on at that time, will the audience understand that? And
Right.
that was
that's a very difficult thing to do. You know too much.
Right,
It's like,
right, yeah. Okay, well, we now have time to open the floor for questions for our panel, so let's start here.
Thank you for being here. For Wendy, how important was song choices throughout your career for your performances?
Song choices?
Yeah.
Do you mean my own headset? My own?
No, like what song do you dance to? Like how do you
Well,
choose it?
the choreographers always choose the music. So, and generally, if I like their choice, we're gonna do something good, I think. So I have no say in that. But when I worked with the choreographers on my own project, I could have a little bit of, maybe not so much that piece. So yeah, we could collaborate on those things. But getting outside the ballet world, I've been able to have more say in what I do. So, but the music is very impactful and creatively, everything pretty much. So, yeah.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Good.
Such a big fan. I am a mom of an aspiring dancer, and I want to always instill in her how important it is to be a good businesswoman as well, so that you can continue to work within the industry after you get off the stage as well.
Yeah. Businesswoman. Whoa, I wish I was a better businesswoman. It's tough because ballet traditionally isn't, it's an art, and you don't want to think of it as commerce necessarily, but you have to survive. So it's a balance of being true to yourself, being clean in the art form, and selling it. So, yeah, it's an interesting topic. Yeah, but yes, a good education is always everything. So hopefully business gets into that. So.
Yes.
Hi. So I was wondering, like in your career, did you have somebody that you kind of that helped you or like mentored you, that you kind of went through the same thing that you are going through now? That and do you have like dancers that are coming up to you now that kind of like say like this is inspiring to me, or this is like kind of what I'm looking forward to, or maybe like afraid of?
That's a great question. I've been when I had my first surgery on my hip, I was very active on social media, and I posted a lot about, oh, well, you know, today this happened, and tomorrow I'm gonna try to walk, and da da da. So, and my Instagram following went huge. It just skyrocketed, and I had so many people reaching out to me for help, dancers. I have this same issue, or I'm having this issue. What do you think? And where should I go? What should I do? And there's such confusion when it comes to pain in your body and or something that's really detrimental to your career and stops you from dancing. People panic. So I try to be as helpful as I can. And now with this film, it's also showing another vulnerable side of a dancer. So I guess I'm the poster child for vulnerable ballerinas, but I don't mind it. I never had people that really showed me what it was like to retire. I watched people retire from the stage, and then I didn't see them again. And they finished from the stage with a smile and flowers and confetti, perfect life. But I didn't know what was really going on in them. So to be able to express what was really going on in me is something I think everybody's going to be able to relate to, because nobody talks about that, and it's a profound experience emotionally and physically to go through it. So, yeah, I didn't have anybody to help me through it, really. I mean, I had friends, I could always call them, but it's a very personal experience. So, yeah, so I do have people reaching out to me now, like, I think I might have to do this, da-da-da, and I'm always like, well, let's get together, let's connect, and so, yeah, I'm that person, call me, yeah.
Well, Wendy, Linda, and Adam, thank you so much for being here today. Where can we see this film, where and when?
So it opens in New York on Wednesday at the Film Forum and at Lincoln Center, the theaters, the Eleanor Bunin Monroe theaters, and then followed by in California, June 9th, and then
LA and San Francisco.
and then around the rest of the country as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Amy.